Hello, welcome to the Crochet Cakes YouTube channel. My name is Clarissa, and today we're going to have a very crafty catch-up as to what I've been crocheting in the month of February. Once again, welcome, and I hope that you've been doing well wherever you are in the world. I hope you have some crafty moments of joy. I know these aren't always possible, but I really wish for you to find at least 5 minutes a day that you can call your own. As I said, today we're going to have a very crafty catch-up as to what I've been crafting during the month of February. Now, because you have seen these projects or will see them in upcoming vlogs, I thought we could do a bit of a yarn review while we talk about these projects because I bought a lot of yarn. I remember that during our first Discord live, we were chatting about things we couldn't resist buying, and I very confidently said, no, I can resist buying yarn. Boy, have I had to eat my words. But, you know, let's just spread some yarny joy and tell you my honest thoughts on all these yarns because I bought all of these yarns, okay? This video is only sponsored by me, you that watch the ads and make it possible for me to purchase things, and my husband that also makes it possible for me to purchase little treats for myself. So anyway, let's get started because as I said, there's a lot of yarn. First up, we have a finished item and an upcoming pattern that will be released by the time you watch this video. This video is going to go live on the 2nd of March and the vest is set to be released on the 29th of February. So, first up is this lovely green vest that I've just called vest number 2 because I honestly didn't know what to call her. Now, she looks very, very simple, but there are a couple of techniques here that I hope they're new to you or that you want to practice. We have some short row shaping to make the vest sit comfortably on the shoulder area. We also use the yarn over slip stitch on the rib, and we use an interesting construction technique where we start in panels but then we join those panels together to continue working in the round. For this vest number 2, I used Yarn Art Jeans. Now, this is a yarn that I purchased off Amazon. This is my 3rd time using it, so I feel very confident talking about yarn art. If you follow my mom, Minded Muse Crafts, along on her crafting channel, then you know that this is a yarn that she uses a lot for color work, crochet color work. And I have a huge tapestry that she used this yarn with. So as I said, I feel pretty confident reviewing this yarn. And my review is that I greatly enjoy working with yarn art. I think that the way the yarns are plied together works very well for crochet. It is an acrylic cotton blend. I don't remember if it's 50-50, but I do know that those are the 2 fiber components in this yarn. And it is a sport weight cotton, which I think, again, makes it lovely for crochet because it is not too light and not too heavy. Perfect for using 4mm and above crochet hooks. This washes very well. When I blocked it, I didn't really see a lot of color release, which is great because typically cotton doesn't the colors don't tend to stick well to cotton fibers. So the acrylic helps there. I don't know the name of the specific green yarn that I used, but I will link the specific yarn that I use in the description box below. Incidentally, in the description box is where you can find chapters for everything that I talk about in this video, as well as links. Now, all of the yarns that I'm going to be talking about for today, I have affiliate links for. Now, that doesn't mean that it costs you extra, it just means that I gain a little bit of income if you use my links to shop. So that disclaimer out of the way, I recommend using Yarn Art Jeans. I think it comes in a lot of beautiful colors, and you can buy 4 packs, which is great because you can ensure that your dye lots are always the same. For this vest number 2, the sample, I made sample size 2, and I used all of the 200 grams, and I do mean all of it. Next yarn that I have a slight review on is going to be the yarn that I use for the Flower Garden vest. So the Flower Garden is a recreation of, I think, one of my most loved patterns, and that, whoa, do the colors look weird on the screen? As I was saying, she is a recreation of the Shield Maiden top, now named Flower Garden because, as you saw, this yarn blend is super drapey. To crochet this top, we are going to be using Curio, which is a yarn from Recrochet in the color Bear, and we're going to hold it together with Aloft, which is a lace weight kid silk mohair, I believe. Now, I will say, if you are sensitive to mohair like me, this yarn may not be for you. It feels really soft when it's in the ball. I didn't feel any prickling sensations at all, but once I crocheted with it, it was prickly, but we know that this is a common thing with mohair. Now, I really like the fact that I held it together with a cotton yarn because Curio from We Crochet is a mercerized cotton yarn. So it has a little bit of a coat to give it a sheen and help it I wish I could think of a better way to say this, but slides nice and easy on your crochet hook. Yes, anyway. Because I was holding these two yarns held together, it made it very, I wouldn't say very easy to frog back, but easier than if I was using a mohair and a wool held together, because wool and mohair just kind of tend to stick together. And to me, they are a nightmare to frog back. So that is why I chose to have a cotton base for this flower garden top, because I also wanted it to be a transition garment. So what can I tell you? Combining the Curio with the mohair made a super drapey fabric, as you saw, but also combining that with a 5mm hook made it beautifully flowy. So that is number one. Number two, because of the mohair, the cotton has a lot more drape than it typically would if you just use cotton yarn alone. In addition to that, I also feel that the fabric is very, very lightweight. And again, this is possible because I combined the fingering weight yarn with the mohair, and it works very well together. There was no color bleeding, but again, I used bare, so there's really no color in the Curio yarn that I chose. And also I used tarragon for the green. So if you're familiar with working with mohair, I don't think there is anything that I can add. You know, the Aloft range was very nice to work with. It did not feel prickly on my hands. However, it does feel prickly on my body. So again, that caveat that if you are sensitive to wool, perhaps this yarn blend is not for you. But if you would like to achieve a slightly similar effect, then I do have a yarn that I can recommend for you, and that is the caterpillar yarn. Now this caterpillar yarn, I'm also using it to test for the flower garden top. I wanted a cropped version for this one, and I wanted to test in another yarn just in case there is someone out there who's also sensitive to mohair and suri alpaca, which is typically the yarn substitution that people use. So caterpillar yarn is a cotton wool blend. What makes caterpillar so special is that it's a cotton tube. So it is basically knit into a tube, the cotton fibers, and then it is blown with wool. So that gives you a little bit of a hazy effect that I really hope. I don't think that came out well on camera, so I will just insert a picture that kind of shows the fuzzy effect. Now, it doesn't compare to the fuzziness that you're gonna get from using legit mohair yarn, because those fibers are just like freer, but it is a very lovely similar effect, and you can see it's also very, very drapey. Now, I absolutely loved working with this yarn. I will say that just like using a mohair, it sticks a little bit on your crochet hook when you are doing a yarn over pulling through the loops, but it is not bad, and I was able to frog back with this. This is the second panel, by the way. I have completed the 2 panels, and now I just need to seam my top together. And also this caterpillar yarn, so lightweight. I absolutely love it, and I highly recommend it if you want a slight mohair effect without having to use the mohair. I will say there was a tiny bit of color bleeding when I blocked it. I typically block my garments using cold water to avoid color bleeding, but you know, with cotton fibers, you're always going to get a little bit of that bleeding into the water. But it was very slight. It wasn't something super obvious. And that is caterpillar yarn, which, as I said, is a blend of cotton and wool, and it is a tube yarn. Also, it is sport weight, and you guys know, as I said, how much of a fan of sport weight yarn I am. So yeah, I have a lot of good things to say about this caterpillar yarn, at least when it comes to working with it. And I did do a little try on, you know, I pinned it together and I didn't think it was itchy at all. but we will see how this wears somewhere along the line. In addition to these 3 yarns that I tried from We Crochet, I also made a purchase during another yarn sale that they had, and that was for their Swish DK yarn. Now I specifically bought their Swish Pops DK yarn, and this one is the color EDM. It's got bright lime greens and then like a turquoisey green and some specks of orange and specks of blue in it. This is a DK weight yarn, very lovely, very easy to work with, and I do love that you could do planned pulling with this EDM colorway. As you can see, I have just pools of color. I didn't plan my pools of color, but I still think they work up really, really well. Now this yarn is great if you love DK weight yarn. I have nothing bad to say about it. It's not super tightly spun, so it doesn't feel like a thin DK. It feels like a proper true DK weight yarn, if that makes sense, because you know that sometimes when we buy DK weight yarn, they could go, there's a range of DK, and this one's like right in the middle. So I really love that, and I loved working with it. It's super easy to work with. Currently I'm using a 5mm crochet hook, and it works up really, really lovely. This, by the way, is going to be an ascot scarf, a keyhole scarf, or what we also know as the Miss Marple scarf. This is like the bottom of the triangle, and this is the second half. This is going to be a tutorial. But like I said, if you're in the market for a DK weight yarn, this one's great. It's lovely to work with. And it doesn't feel plasticky, because you know sometimes when you have that coating of superwash, the yarn can feel plasticky. This one doesn't. And now we are ready to move away from the We Crochet haul that I did, because we're going to get into some yarns from Lion Brand that I bought and I was very excited to try. I bought these yarns because when I film tutorials, I like to use either tube or blown yarns, you know, the knit tube that you fill with polyfill or some other type of fiber, because I think that the stitch definition is fantastic. So when I saw that Lion Brand had this yarn, this is called Lazy Days, if I'm not mistaken, and it is a tube yarn that is 100% polyester, and the stitch definition with this yarn is just beautiful. It is very, very lightweight. I think it's perfect for beginners, and it just glides beautifully on your crochet hook, and like I said, it gives you wonderful stitch definition. So I, so far, am very, very happy with this yarn. It's also very stretchy because it is polyester. So I think this is a good alternative if you're a beginner and you don't want to be using Red Heart Super Saver or Basic Stitch or any of those acrylic yarns. You can opt for this Lazy Days. I bought a 3-pack, I should say, and I don't remember what color this is, but it'll be in the description box. And as I said, I love working with this yarn. It is worsted weight, and yeah, I don't have much else to say about it. It works beautifully. I haven't washed it, so I can't speak for that side of things. But so far, I loved all of the yarns that I procured and purchased during the month of end of January and beginning of February. So now this kind of brings me on to a yarn that I did not enjoy working with at all. Now there will be a caveat for this, and the caveat for this is that the yarn was marketed as a macrame and crochet yarn. For me, I disagree with the crochet part, and again, this is my opinion. I disagree with the crochet part because I found it impossible to crochet with this yarn, and it is a type of cording yarn from Lion Brand as well. I will link it for you in the description box. And I bought this because, again, I thought it would give me wonderful stitch definition. The yarn makeup is something that I like, which was a cotton acrylic blend, and there were crochet samples on the website, so I thought this yarn is beautiful. That's exactly what I need, and I ordered quite a bit of it, only to try and use it to film for a tutorial, and it didn't work, okay? It didn't work. I tried using several different hook sizes. I went from a 5 all the way up to a 7, and I just don't think you get a good stitch definition. Perhaps it could have also been that I was doing a tutorial for the yarn over slip stitch, which is now live, and perhaps that's the reason, but I just did not enjoy working with it, and I did not think it was a yarn that I could recommend, because I was also looking for yarns that I would recommend for beginners, because in my Spanish crochet channel I am doing a series of beginner crochet videos, so I really wanted to have yarns that I thoroughly enjoyed working with that I could recommend. Now, as I said, just because I didn't like crocheting with it doesn't mean you won't. And if you like macrame, I really think this yarn could work for macrame because it was really a cord. I also should say the caveat that there is like, I don't know if you remember the moon bag. I think it was by make.e. And she had this mama moon bag and this moon bag, and she crocheted them both with a macrame cord. So I thought I could use this cord for that, but I was not getting through that. No, I was not. So I returned it. And that's a little bit of a sad story because I bought it from Joann's and they have you return in store. And because I paid through PayPal, my credit card, but through PayPal, they had to return it cash, and that made me sad. I'm like, no, I want it taken off my credit card statement. Anyway, these are the yarns that I've been using during February, barring the 2 acrylics that I've been using. One you already saw, which was the Valentine's Day vest. So it was my walkthrough of how I crocheted a vest using my Red Heart Granny Square yarn. There are 2 separate videos for that. There's the Galentine's, of course, and then there's an actual yarn review that I did with my mom. And the other one is my upcoming birthday sweater, which, a spoiler, if you read my newsletter, you already know this. It is not a sweater anymore. That is all I will say on the matter. Updates on other projects that I've been working on. I've sorely neglected my husband's panadero sweater, or panadero top. I ripped it back because it was too short. I crocheted it too short, and that was my fault. It wasn't the pattern's fault or anything. So I ripped that back, and I slowly picked up stitches, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna pick up stitches for the sleeve so that it is just easier to work with. I have something complete by the end of it, and it's faster. That's what I meant, faster to work with. In non-crafty crochet terms, on Saturday, I think it was the 3rd of February, I went to MegaCon. And MegaCon is the convention that is held in the Orlando Convention Center. And I went because Rachel Maxey was going to be there. And it was so, so beautiful to see her in person. If you're not familiar, Rachel Maxey is a crafty content creator. She does a lot of transformations with makeup and a lot of cosplays, a lot of sewing. She's just a crafty individual, and I absolutely love watching her channel, loved watching what she creates, and I got to meet her, so that was super, super exciting. And for proof, I wore a crochet hat, which helped me talk to a lot of people, because I had a lot of people walk up to me and said they love my hat, so it opened the doors. It was a great communication device. So if you've been thinking of crocheting a mushroom hat for yourself, specifically this one was the Twisted Toadstool hat pattern by Natalie Allen, then I highly encourage you to. It is a great conversational piece, great conversational starter. And I couldn't be happier. In terms of books that I've been reading, if you follow along in my newsletter, you're already caught up with this because I always do a little reading section in my newsletter. But during February, I started reading The Lost Bookshop by Evie Woods. I'm taking this book slow because one of the main characters, is getting out of an abusive relationship, and even though there's nothing graphic, it just kind of makes one angry reading about the situation, right? So I haven't actually finished it. Also, it's a particularly long audiobook, and I feel there are moments where there's excessive description, and I feel there are moments where I absolutely love it. So I also really love that each character has a different person voicing it. I love it when books do that. I I guess I'm a weird audio listener in the sense that I like that when there's multiple characters, different people read it. The exception to that, I think, is the Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. The woman who voiced that video did a fantastic job with all those different voices. And I think the other one for my exception rule is probably The Dead Romantics. I also enjoyed that audiobook, even though she was doing all the voices herself. I greatly dislike reading audiobooks with male voices when they're doing feminine ones. I have yet to find one that I like. And I sometimes feel that they should just read it. They shouldn't do voices. They should just read the book, and I would enjoy it so much more. But that is my take on it. And speaking of audiobooks, I also listened to My Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. And this one, a lot of it I felt that I couldn't relate to because she talks a lot about motherhood and what it means to be a mom, no mom left behind, and things like that. But in the end, even though I felt that it wouldn't directly apply to me, I think I learned a lot from that book. And I really learned that you can't do it all the time, but what you can do to do it well. I think that is my takeaway from that book. I also started listening to Bookshops and Bone Dust, which is kind of like the prequel to Legends and Lattes. It's also read by Travis Baldree. And actually, you know what? I do like the voices that Travis Baldree does, so I guess he's my other exception. And in terms of reading, that is all I've been listening to. I can't really speak towards Bookshops and Bone Dust because I think I'm about an hour in. So far, I like it. It's a very cozy slice of life book. I don't know if this qualifies as a spoiler, but if you read Legends and Lattes, you know that one of the main characters is Viv. And in this one, she's also the main character, but it's kind of like how she started being a mercenary, I guess. And she's injured and she's convalescing in this village. So that's where I'm at. This month of February, I felt that I kind of overloaded myself with both whips and books. Because yes, I mentioned the 3 that I'm listening to, but that's just like active listening. I also started reading other books and rereading some just cozy favorites to keep the reading mood going. And I started quite a bit. I also bought quite a bit of books. I bought Born a Crime. I just thought it was going to be an interesting read, and not only that, it's of course by a Black author, but with that one I am taking it slow because it's based on his life, so I know there's going to be moments where I will get angry at the things that happen to him. I will just get sad that humans are capable of so much hate and things like that, so I'm taking that one slow. In addition to slow reading Born a Crime, I also started When the Body Says No by Gabor Mate, and this one's kind of like a study of the effects of stress in the body. That one I'm also taking super slow because I want to learn from this book, so I actually purposely bought a Kindle version so that I could annotate it on my iPad and keep all those little notes there. And the last thing that I wanted to talk to you about today was the Celebration Crochet Along. It is time. We are in, or by the time this video comes out, we will be in March, which means that on March 10th, we're going to start the Celebration Crochet Along, a crochet along where you pick any crochet cakes pattern or tutorial and you come celebrate with me. My reason for celebrating is that March is my birthday month. Your reason for celebrating could be completely your own. You don't have to disclose it. You could be celebrating life. You could be celebrating the fact that you had a great cup of coffee today. You could be celebrating the fact that you got a raise, that you can retire, that you're in a better place than you were yesterday. Whatever you choose to celebrate, come join us for the Celebration Crochet Along. The only 2 requirements are that number 1, you choose a crochet cakes pattern or tutorial. You don't have to pay for it. I do have a lot of free patterns on my blog as well as tutorials here on YouTube. And if you have already started a crochet cakes pattern and you want to use this crochet along to finish it, then you know, don't be more than 50% through. That is all I'm saying. For me, I really wanted to choose another Eat Cake sweater. I want to crochet a more summery cropped version of the Eat Cake sweater. But I will be home when this video goes live, home in Puerto Rico, I mean. So I think I'm just going to be taking two projects. One of them is the raglan sweater for the V-stitch raglan tutorial. I'm going to be working on that, and I'm only a fourth of the way through, so I think it can count for the celebration crochet along. And I'm also going to be taking some yarn that I bought on Amazon ages ago to do a top version of my vintage Echo cardigan. I think that cardigan lends itself to many modifications, and one of them is to turn it into a top. And I'm thinking a short sleeve top, you know, with drop shoulders, and then maybe I'll include stitch counts for doing a long sleeve top. So those are the crafty plans. I really do hope you join the celebration crochet along. It will run from the 10th of March all the way to the 12th of April, I believe. And if you guys want me to extend it, I will. And if you don't have time to participate in this crochet along, that's okay too. There is no rush and there's no pressure. This is a no pressure crochet along. You don't have to finish it. However, I will say there is going to be a prize. I've been putting aside together a pack of recrochet yarns that I've bought and have left over from designs, things like that, so that you can do a little recrochet yarn starter pack. As I said, these have all been purchased by me, so you know they've been tried true and that I absolutely either love them, love working with them, or can't stop wearing them. All those three can be true at the same time. Like I said, I really do hope that you join us for the celebration crochet along. I already know that some gals have started, which thrills me. Like, I am so excited. I really am. And you can use the hashtag celebration crochet along 24 to join us on Instagram. I'm going to be opening up a Discord channel as well so that we can chat over there and don't need to worry about the algorithm hiding the hashtags, because that has happened before in previous crochet alongs and I don't want it to happen again. So please don't forget to tag me on Instagram if you're going to join through Instagram, and let me know in the comments section below what pattern you are thinking of joining in with the celebration crochet along. Now that really is it from me today. I hope to see you soon for another podcast. And by the way, I'm trying to do these podcasts monthly, so there will be other videos in the channel sprinkled throughout, but every month I will try to do a monthly catch-up. Oh, and finally, before I forget, I know that people have reached out asking about Mom and her condition and why I haven't updated. Mom has asked me to not share any details about her health at the moment. If that changes anytime in the future, then I will let you know. But I really, from the bottom of my heart, we both want to thank you for your concern and for your well wishes. They are greatly appreciated. At this time, we just choose to keep this matter private between the closest family members. So thank you for your understanding. Thank you for your love, your kindness, and your willingness to share that love and kindness with us. So once again, this really is the last time that I will bid you farewell. I want to wish you a very, very happy crafting and just beautiful moments of joy whenever you can find them. Bye!